disconnecting, because since COVID, sort of two things have kind of evolved in experiences. Obviously, we can't go to physical spaces, so people have been leveraging technology, and that's not new, but we're just seeing it come out in different ways. And a second thing that is happening is people are really embracing the outdoors because it's easier to be socially distant in those kind of settings. So our industry is really changing, and we're using technology. And what I wanted to do today was share with you some of the things that we're seeing across the industry that have come out of COVID. So on the next page, for me, one of the things that we're going to do today is we're going to look at what's real, so escape rooms and things that are going on in terms of drive-through. Then we're going to look across the internet, and then we're going to end up somewhere on virtual reality and things that are super high tech. So that's really how this is going to happen. We're going to spend the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes looking at some really interesting experiences or things that I think are interesting. It's a bit of a show and tell. And as we do this, what I want you to be thinking about is, what are the kinds of experiences that you like? Why do you gravitate towards those experiences? And then at the end, we're going to come together and kind of share what we think makes those experiences super great. So this first one is here locally in Montreal. By the way, that's where I am. I don't know how many people have experienced an escape room before. They're super fun. You got to do it with a group. You can do it with friends. Typically, you go to a venue and you try, there's a big story, and you use puzzles and different clues to try and get out of a space. And one of the things that's super interesting about this particular case is that they have moved that experience outdoors. So they're actually utilizing the same concepts that you would find in escape rooms, only they're doing it on the streets of Montreal. So it's kind of like a scavenger hunt with your phone. You don't have to touch anything, but it's really targeted, still has a great story. It's super shareable, and it's really dedicated towards the bubble family, which is something that we're all hearing about at the moment. So that's something that's being utilized out and about. Now we're going to skip from Montreal. We're going to go all the way over to Vancouver, British Columbia. How many people here are familiar with big exhibitions? Angie, you're familiar with big Stampede exhibitions. The Canadian National Exhibition, for instance, in Toronto, right? Those outdoor spaces really rely on their events. They make their bread and butter by bringing people together. They're usually nonprofit organizations. They usually host really big events. And obviously with COVID, the ability to do those events has really changed. But one of the things that's really interesting is that these organizations are finding ways to utilize their parks to offer a different kind of experience. So as you know, Father's Day is coming up, and the Pacific National Exhibition, Jeff Strickland and his gang, they are proposing to do a lot more smaller events this summer, and also to utilize the car park. So in this particular instance, what I like about this one, as the use of the great outdoors, is it's a carbecue. So the idea is you stay confined in your car. It's a prearranged ticketed item. And then you're going to drive through. Your meal will be served to you in your car. And then a collaboration. So it's not just the car and it's not just the barbecue. But the reason it's going to attract, I would say, fathers is there's also a car show. So I think it's a really interesting way to reutilize the great outdoors. Something that I think is really important in terms of the experiences that we have is monetizing the experience and extending it. And at the Pacific National Exhibition, if you buy the barbecue or carbecue, they're going to give you 2 free tickets to come back to another event later in the summer. So I think that's a really interesting way to keep bringing people back to your site, because hopefully they'll be able to move and really have the big event again. This is one of my personal favorites because it meets indoors and outdoors. So the Delaware Contemporary Art Museum had planned an exhibition, and what you're seeing are two big banners on the outside of the art gallery. The actual exhibit is also inside the gallery. When COVID hit, they were really passionate to keep the art exhibition going. So one of the things that they did was they made it viewable from your car, or if you're walking, or even if you're biking. But the other thing that they added, which I think is really key to this particular visitor experience, is they've gone beyond the visual. So whether you're in your car or on your bike, you can tune into the radio, and there's actually a talk that goes along as you're viewing the art. So I think it's a really interesting way of utilizing technology, showing the experience on the outside, offering you to come back when they do open after COVID, but also ticks a few boxes for me in terms of social and intellectual inclusion, which I know is something that's really important to a lot of different groups. In the next one, we're moving online. I don't know how many people utilize Airbnb, but this one to me is an amazing experience because obviously when Airbnb, they're travel and accommodation. So COVID hits, nobody's traveling, and all of a sudden no one is renting accommodation, but you've got an existing platform. So why not use that platform and offer experiences for all different types of people? And what you see here is what's kind of trending in Canada right now. You can do all kinds of different experiences in different languages at different times of the day and for different price points, you know, from $2, as you can see here, to like $29 per person. This to me is kind of just like Netflix, really. It's on that consume it when you want it type of experience. So for me, this was an interesting swivel, which is something that we talked about a few weeks ago with Chris. So from online experiences, we're now at home, we're on the internet. Here, I don't know how many of you are in favor of gaming or not, but this is a gaming experience that is a super example of collaboration. The Monterey Bay Aquarium had to close its doors, just like everybody else did. But they also have aquatic life that they need to maintain and also to continue to share information about. So this particular game that you're seeing is called Animal Crossing New Horizon. And what it does is it's a collaboration. The Field Museum, the Monterey Bay, a social media and a content strategist got together, and in this game, which is targeted at children, you can visit the Monterey Bay Aquarium or the Tennessee Aquarium. They've even interjected experiences where you can talk to a real scientist. So, you know, you can talk to the zookeeper at the Monterey Bay. It's virtual, it's being streamed. And so obviously there is a debate there about whether or not it's good and how much time your children should spend. But what I think is really interesting for the Monterey Bay and also for the Tennessee Aquarium is that it really is continuing to share their mission. Not only that, one of the things that's really interesting about gaming is that it's a shared experience. So that means that, you know, Rebecca, this whole group could get together and play this game. So it's kind of fun. It's highly interactive and is super repeatable. And I don't know how many of you are mums and dads out there, probably a few, maybe have grandkids. These online experiences could draw people to your physical venue. So from online, I want to go back to a mixture of real and immersive experiences. This is a troupe called Corps Perdu. They're Montreal based, they're a theater company. And one of the things that they like to try to do is really move their viewers. They use theatrical experiences and immersive technology to literally and figuratively move you. What you're seeing here is called Unit B1717. I urge you to look it up. If you're the kind of person who hates scary things, this particular experience utilizes a storage unit. And you're also then, you take the key, you go to the storage unit, and then you're immersed in an environment with one actress. It happens in English and it happens in French. It'll scare the bejesus off you. But what I like about it, I couldn't even, I watched the video, I can't go do this experience. Like, so anybody who goes and does it, you need to feed back to me because I couldn't even get through the video last night. It gives you all kinds of chills that are just super creepy. But what I like about this immersive experience is it really did move me. It's really personal. It takes immersiveness to a brand new height, and it's totally unique. I haven't seen anything else like it. And if you have, I would love to hear about it or see it. But in terms of immersive experience, it's well worth the ticket price, I think. The last stop on our tour is something called virtual reality. And virtual reality is, it's not really new technology. It's becoming more and more commonplace, really. This one is at Montreal's Centre-Phi. Centre-Phi is an event space. So ordinarily you'd be able to go there, maybe as a corporate event or as just an onlooker, and they showcase a whole range of technology installations through exhibits and events. COVID hits, you can't have anybody come to the venue anymore. What do? I'll tell you what you do. You start doing a VR headset that families can rent. So now the VR experience, you can have it in your own home. So on this particular VR experience at the Centre-Phi, the types of films that you're going to be able to see are award winners. So they're from the major international film festival. It's where you put on the goggles and then you get to have a completely immersive experience. In terms of being able to monetize this experience, it's been so popular that they actually have a pricing scale that kind of goes through peaks and troughs. So when it's a busy time, they've increased the price of rental so that they can meet demand. And when it's a quieter time, they've decreased the price. So I think it's an interesting way for that particular venue to extend the experience. I think it's one of the things that they'll actually continue to do well past when we all get to go back to our favorite cultural attractions. I think it's going to be a keeper. So what I want to do is we're just going to stop there. And what I want to open the table to is some questions to people. I would love to know if anybody here has a particular experience that they want to share that has come about as a result of COVID or was going to happen because of COVID, before COVID, and they've adapted it somehow. Does anybody have anything that they've seen or done that they wanted to share?
Amanda, one that I just came across is the Toronto Fringe. And they are having 2020, and it usually goes early July through till August. I never go, not in and around the city, but a friend of mine is in it this year. And so they've gone online and they're having virtual Fringe performances. And what I think is cool about that is I would look at it now as an option, and I would be a new customer for them, because they've gone online and you buy a pass to a certain act, and the act has got, for argument's sake, 10 acts. So it's got 4 acts, and then within each act there might be 10 offers that you can see within 2 or 3 days. So I just think it's interesting that they've sort of taken a step back and said, how can we still deliver the Fringe? But by doing that, they're getting a whole, well, to me, I would be a new audience. And you got to pay to get in.
I think that's really beneficial. In this time, I know that operators are really concerned about, so if we open, are people going to come back? And it's a really good question. So what if you can do anything now to try and market your attraction or market a visitor experience or stay in the homes and like up front with people, then I think it's only going to help you in the long run to survive in terms of being a going concern.
And Amanda, it's Chris here. I'm just interested in the Airbnb experiences. Has anybody heard of the success of them or lack of? Because I find their content is good. It's good, but there's so much competition for it on both on the free side and other platforms like Masterclass or everybody's doing that sort of thing. I'm just curious. Have you heard anything?
I was told that our market, which is France, they rely a lot on the Airbnb experience. It's very, very competitive. They utilize it a lot. So
I haven't personally experienced any of the workshops or experiences, but maybe that's something I'll post about afterwards to find out if anybody else has joined a workshop, liked it. Airbnb haven't published any materials that I'm aware of, but Chris, good question. I'll see if we can find something afterwards.
I heard of kind of a cool one. So you may have heard of Area 15, which is like a retail entertainment experience in Las Vegas. And I think it just opened, right, Amanda, right before the pandemic. So one of the things they're doing is joining forces with this vampire pizza company. So if you order online, a vampire will bring a pizza to your door, but it's also an amusement park in a box. So there's like pizza, salad, blah, blah. And then you have this 60 to 90 minute mystery game that you can do. I thought that was pretty cool. So it's a little bit of a taste of the stuff that Area 15 will do when you get there. But it's also, very interactive. To your point, it's like crossing that space between, I'm here in this destination, but it's also coming to me. So I thought that one was pretty cool. And then another one was the Smithsonian's National Zoo. They're doing a lot of sort of family experiences online. So there's coloring books, so they have all this video feed of their animals, so you can it sort of guides you through in the book, drawing out the animals in their habitats. They're also having if I were an animal in the zoo, so it's more of an empathy-based experience for kids, and some other stuff, zoo webcam bingo, which is a bit more fun, but also just trying to, again, bring technology. Once you get there, I think these games will continue in a different way, because I think they're really bringing about some new innovation for how we cross that line. Oh, you're on mute.
Who's on mute? I was talking to somebody in Miramichi, New Brunswick yesterday. It's not something you can really monetize, but I just thought it was a good community building initiative, if you will. They did this thing called Miramichi Rocks. They created a Facebook page, and it's really about community building, getting creativity, amongst all age groups and so on. and they get rocks and they paint the rocks in some fashion, making sure they're PG type of paintings, but for family inspiration and so on. And then they go out into the community at large or out to the outdoors and they hide the rocks. It's a little uptake on geocaching. And then they share online if they find these rocks and so on. If they want to keep the rock, they got to replace it with a different one and so on. So it just it's kind of exploded at a community level, and it's bringing folks together, but also keeping them distant in the outdoors. So I thought that was creative.
Yeah, I think that whole idea that I mean, people are going to want to be with their families. There's a connection side. The social element really needs to be there. People have been, you know, stuck at home, and if you can find a way to make it more social, then I think you're going to get a better uptake. And certainly in Canada, I know since we have the highest rate of outbound travel, right? So there's this whole segment of people that are not going to be traveling internationally. We have to find things for them to do here, you know, whether or not we can cross borders and not have to quarantine for 14 days, but within the country. And so finding those ways to connect online, and then when we actually get there, continue those connections, I think will be important.
We're starting something, and the we is not Stampede. The we is just a group of us outside of Stampede. My partner and I have a property that's about 20 acres. And starting on Saturday, we've been working with local artists, and we have 7 Indigenous artists who have created an outdoor sculpture, art, dance on certain days, music on certain days, experience that we're gonna do a bit of a dress rehearsal on Saturday, and then it's gonna be open until September. And we've never done anything like this before. It'll be interesting to have, we have 4 days where we will market it, so to speak. There's no charge to come on. But we have a website, and we'll send out invitations. I think the schedule is to send them out on Sunday. And we'll invite people to come and participate and be outdoors. It's called Among the Trees. So it is about the relationship with outdoors. Post-COVID, or not post-COVID, because of COVID, you know, we've had to adapt how we had planned it initially, but we're hoping that families and cohorts who are able to be together will find it a way to get out and be within nature, and in this case, engage with art along the way. So there's not a lot of technology involved except sending out the emails. One of our friends, I think, is thinking about videotaping sort of the experience and seeing if he can turn it into something that would be an online offering as well. So we'll see how that goes, bit of an experiment. Yeah, so we'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Maybe we can post your website on our Rhubarb Collective site.
Sure.
Get you some more people who are in the neighborhood, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, Angie, thank you for sharing that. I think it's really interesting to see how, on the one hand, you know, we're certainly using technology. What I'm finding in the world is that we used to be kind of really scared of technology, and maybe now, because of COVID, we're finding it to be a bit more of an ally, because we're still able to do our missions. We're still able to connect with people. Is it the same? No, it's probably not the same. But I think that even this, you know, Zooming, it's not the same. I would love to be able to sit in a room with you people, have a drink. But unfortunately right now we can't. So I think the takeaways are that for visitor experiences to really draw people's attention, whether they're indoors, outdoors, or online. They have to have a degree of authenticity. Immersivity counts a lot. You know, whether that's picking up the rocks that Fran was talking about and putting them back, that's still immersive. It's still interactive, somewhat personalized. You know, I think that goes a long way. And certainly unique and shareable. If there's one thing that's a takeaway from this crisis, is that we are humans, we want to be kind to each other, and we love the shared experience. So with that, I wanted to say thanks to everybody for joining today. I'm aware that we're 3 minutes over time.
We started a bit late.
We did.
But yeah, thank you so much, Amanda. That was great. And thank you all for joining us today. You should be receiving a little survey in your inbox shortly, or maybe it's already there. But we are just asking for some feedback on what you think of our chats, the website, you know, what, if you have topic ideas for us, we'd love to hear. We are taking a break, so there won't be a chat next week, but we'll see where we go from there. And again, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
All right, bye for now.